The Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries presents Friday Night Bible Study. Our Friday night Bible studies are held in the United Kingdom, Atlanta, Georgia, St. Louis, Missouri, and in the state of New Jersey. Welcome to Friday Night Bible Study.
Hello, what's going on YouTube? Welcome everyone to another Friday Night Bible Study by the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. My name is Priest Jaden and I'm joined here with Minister Ezekiel and Minister Chris. How's it going, guys?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Yeah, man. All good, all good, all good. So we got a topic for you guys today, and the reason why we wanted to bring this topic to you guys is because unfortunately we live in a society where there's loads of people that believe that the Bible is open to interpretation. And when we allow these kind of notions and these thoughts to I guess overtake our community and become such a popular thought and belief, we find ourselves in situations where people are questioning what's right from what's wrong, and people start making their own mind up on what they do and start leaning on their own understanding. So the topic that we've brought for you guys today is clean and unclean food. What can a man eat from what a man can't eat, right? And this is a super interesting topic because what we're going to do is we're going to go through the law for you guys today. We're going to show what the Bible says is law, what a man of God cannot and can eat, right? And then we're going to go into some scriptures that people like to use to say, oh, but this or oh, but that. And then we'll dissect those scriptures and show so that it leaves no room for interpretation. Because these laws, we have to remember that these laws were given to the children of Israel, Israelites. And if you are identifying as an Israelite or you want to follow after God, then there is a way that God intends for us to live, because everything has a purpose, right? So before I go too much into the lesson, um, we can just jump straight in. You guys want to jump straight in?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So Leviticus 11. And I'm going to put that on the screen now. Anyone want to read?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read. So Leviticus 11, and where we started at verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud amongst the beasts, that shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew of the cud, or of them that divided the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you.
Okay,
And the pony,
let's stop there for a
let's start
second.
right there.
Yeah, let's stop there for a second and let's break that down, because there's some people that might be thinking at home like, whoa, parted hoof, cloven footed, cheweth the cud among the beasts that ye shall eat. Like what's going on, right? So I'm gonna pass this to Minister Ezekiel. Let Minister Ezekiel jump in here and explain it for them.
Okay, thanks for the pass, man. Really appreciate it. It's straight up simple, and this is the beauty of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's specific. It's specific, and I need you guys to pay attention to this, because in today's world, everyone is citing this verse, that verse, this verse, and that's their law all of a sudden. But if you go back to verse 1, it tells you the instructions are clear. They're very clear. This is what you should eat, and this is what you shouldn't eat. Whatsoever has a partition within the hoof and cheweth of the cud, you may eat these things. Very specific. You can think of certain animals that have these features or characteristics. A deer has a split hoof and it cheweth the cud. A cow, split hoof and cheweth the cud. Sheep, split hoof and cheweth the cud. This is a criteria for you to eat your food. Very specific. And then, well, we're going to read just now, and you're going to see the examples of what you should not eat. But just keep in mind, these are laws, and a good law is very specific. You can go to Congress, you can go to the government and look at the laws, and you can see how detailed they are, because ambiguity in the law system creates a lot of challenges and problems. And if you believe that you serve a creative and intelligent God that does intelligent design, you would think that the laws that have been laid down were done so intelligently. And in my mind, it's very simple. There's no science. There's no gene code that you have to look at. He didn't say you need to have this gene sequence and that gene sequence. It was very simple. Does it have this and this?
Yeah.
Cool. You can eat it.
100%. And something you opened up with as well, you said, I believe you said the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's beauty in the laws that He's created. A key word you used was ambiguity. You said there's nothing left to the mind being unsure. It's not ambiguous at all. And something I love is it's not. You don't need to be a scientist. You just need to use the eyes that God gave you. Just observe. Just observe. Look at the foot. Observe these things. Where is it going to eat? Just wait for a second. Just see where it goes to eat. Okay, I can eat this because I can see physically what it's doing. I don't need to start analyzing DNA or cutting it up and seeing what's inside. There's the simplicity in it, and the clarity leaves no room for ambiguity, and leaves it doesn't. You know how you got books sometimes that says dummy proof. You don't need to be a scientist to work out how to keep the law when it comes to the land animals. It's clear. You just have to use your eyes. You know.
100%.
And I'll bring the scripture back on the screen so that we can continue.
So verse 5, and the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Mm-hmm.
And the heir, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Mm-hmm.
And the swine, that's the most famous one, though he divideth the hoof, and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean unto you. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch, they are unclean unto you.
Hold on, let's pause
Very
there.
clear. Hold on, let's stop
Yeah,
there for a
yeah,
second. Yeah.
100%. So
Super clear.
super clear.
Go on.
Because he didn't just lay down the law now. He gave case
Mhm.
studies. You know what I'm saying? He gave case studies. Like, I don't know, there's nowhere clear in the book that shows this. Don't do this. Case study 1, case study 2, case study 3. And that's a perfect example or a high standard of clarification. A lot of laws today are formed through situations or cases where you look and you read what happened. Don't do these things, and they give examples. Examples really help you get an idea of what's being spoken about. Examples reduce the need of interpretation. You get me? Because the example is right there. There's no more extra thing needs to be done at this point. The clarification is right there. And he told you what it looks like and how it should be. Jaden, you want to say something just now?
Yeah. 100%. And it just finishes up so nicely. They are unclean to you. As you said, it's given examples, right? So from verse 3 to verse 8, we've got the land animals. As you said, it gave us the examples, it gave us the description. You've got your eyes to see. Look at the hair. You can see that it cheweth the cud. But just look at the feet, and you can see that it parted not the hoof. Look at the camel, take the swine. Like, as you're saying, it's giving the examples, and it's putting, not just in my school we had a point evidence explanation PEE paragraph, right? And I feel like that's hit each and every one and then finished up nicely. They are unclean to you of the things that are in the land. And then after that, now verse 9, we move into the sea creatures.
These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the water, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not scales, not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. I love the wording that is used, like an abomination. Like that's a strong
Mm.
word. Like if something's an abomination. In verse 11, they shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination.
And we'll lastly continue. Let's just read verse 12.
Verse 12, whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the water, that shall be an abomination unto you.
Perfect. Again, so clear, so
So
concise, nothing left to the unknowing, the confused mind. Nothing left or kept ambiguous. It's very clear. The things that are in the seas or in the waters, if it has both fins and scales, good to go. If it has fins but it doesn't have scales, or if it has scales but it doesn't have fins, can't eat. And it, even as you said, you pinpointed on the word abomination, which I remember
Mm-hmm.
reading up about abomination, like what that's supposed to mean. And I remember learning at the time that it's like an abomination is supposed to be like something that you look at and you just feel sick. You just want to just vomit on it. It should just make you cruel inside because,
Yeah.
and you know what? It's funny because when you look at, I don't know how other people. I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I was saying, I don't know how someone can look at a crab or a lobster or a prawn and let's take a lobster, crack it, and then like suck out the whatever that is on the inside. And when I look at these things, I feel sick. When I look at an octopus, when I look at a squid, like I don't know, man. These things, they just make me. They actually make me feel sick inside. I don't know. So
I mean, yeah, like even without this, if you was to look at something like you mentioned, like a crab or even the swine, like those type of
yeah.
animals who, without reading this and just looking at those animals and how those animals maneuver and the
Mm,
purpose of those animals, like to
yes.
the crab is supposed to be like, if you was to look at a crab and then look at a roach or look at a lobster and look at a roach, they look the same. They look like an insect, but they have a certain design that is to them, that they have a purpose, but it's not meant for you to indulge in that. Like they have a
Exactly.
job that they're supposed to be doing, but you're not supposed to be indulging in that. I mean, allegedly it tastes good though. Some they lobster is on the top scales of, you go to get some
Yeah.
caviar, all these type of
Yeah.
things. It's just like,
They're in the
oh
five-star
man,
dining.
allegedly
They're
it
in the
tastes good,
five-star
but
dining
these are
restaurants.
something that it's cleared. And I love that with the scriptures. I think with the God of Israel, I always talk about how there's so much wisdom in the laws of the God of
Mhm.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's so much wisdom in it, because it talks about how the beginning of wisdom is to fear God is the beginning of wisdom, right? And to
Mhm.
fear God is to what? Is to follow His laws and statutes and
Yeah.
commandments, and to do that in its own, it's one thing to follow, but once you're following the laws in itself, you'll understand and you'll gain a lot of wisdom about why you're even supposed to be following these things. Like, why do
Mhm.
you want to eat a crab or a lobster? Because look at look at what they're meant to do, and you don't want to indulge in something like that. So I think
Yeah.
there's so much wisdom in this alone, to just sit back and just
Yeah.
be like, man, the God of Israel is so wise, and how
Yeah.
he wants his children to be, and how they want to, how they should be separated from the world.
100%.
Mm.
And even to velcro onto that point, speaking on wisdom, it's like he's created the earth. He's created all that therein is, as the scripture puts it, right? And he's created something that is self-sufficient. If we do what we need to do, the sun has its job. The animals on the earth have their job. Like you said, you mentioned swine, you mentioned prawns. These are bottom feeders. Pigs clean like the land, the prawns and these things, and they go to the bottom of the seas and they literally clean the bottom of the seas. You throw a dead body in there, it's gonna eat it up and clean to keep that, to keep the sea cleansed. So he's created something that's self-sufficient, and he's put things in this earth that help the cogs in that in this wider picture move and keep running and flowing. And instead, mankind have decided to go against the word and just start taking any and everything and start eating it. As you said, it's not for consumption. Everything has a job and has a purpose, right? So it's definitely interesting, man. Is there anything anyone else wanted to add before we read on?
Um, yeah, you guys said everything, really, man. Just to springboard off of what you guys all said. Yeah, the wording is very clear. The wording and the choices of
Mhm.
words too. Choices of words matter. There's a difference between, like, for an example, just for an example, hostility, and animosity. Just for an example, animosity is extreme hostility. You're looking at disgust, and now you're looking at abomination. Like, abomination is the top of taboo, of nastiness,
Yeah.
of ew. Like, it doesn't get any worse than an abomination. You're an abomination unto the Lord. I don't know what else the God of Israel has to say to let you know how bad it is to partake in these kind of things.
Yeah.
To both of your points, you're exactly right about that. Every animal on this earth fulfills what they call in the science world an ecological niche. You know, on terrestrial
Hmm.
land, everyone has a job to fulfill, which is how the world keeps running around in circles. Something has
Yeah.
to break down the dead organic matter within our ecosystems and bring it back into the earth. That job
Exactly.
is given away to worms. It's given away to cockroaches. It's given to the mushrooms. It's given away to all the bugs and scavengers like turkey vultures, crows, birds, etc. Someone needs to break down the dead organic matter. Something needs to do it because if no one does it, we'll have dead bodies everywhere. You get me? And it will
Hmm.
be terrible. Something needs to eat that other animal so it doesn't overproduce. Something needs to feed the smaller
Hmm.
animals, which are the plants and the trees. There's for every little
100%.
niche within an ecosystem, something is there to fulfill a job or a duty. And so what you see on
Yeah.
Earth, the same thing you'll see in the waters. And Chris mentioned it just now. That job is given to the bugs, the arthropods, cockroaches do it on land,
Hmm.
shrimp do it in the water, spiders spiders and scorpions do it on land, crabs and lobsters do it in the water. Clams filter the water. If you put a clam and you put it in a fish tank, just give it a couple of days and you'll see how clean that fish tank gets, man. And then you guys want to eat all the clams, and then you're complaining. And then it's like, come on, it's counterintuitive. You're eating the things that clean the water, then complaining about how dirty the water is. It
Exactly.
don't make no sense. It really doesn't.
And then they're sick.
And then there's
And then they're sick.
and then
Time of
Even
what?
when you was describing Jaden about abomination and the definition of abomination and how it means disgust, I believe that is the definition, like disgust and hatred. Like
Mm.
this is an abomination unto you. You shouldn't even want to eat this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even want to eat it, but it's an abomination unto you. I think it's very very clear.
Exactly. No, 100%. Cool. So we done land animals. We done sea creatures. Let's get into verse 13 now.
All right, verse 13. Now, and these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls.
There's that word
They
again.
shall not be eaten, they are an abomination. The eagle and the ossifrage, and the osprey,
Yeah.
and the vulture, and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl and the nighthawk, and the cacao, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the
Mhm.
great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gear eagle, and the stork, and the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat, all fowls that creep going upon all four shall be an abomination unto you.
oh,
Yet these may ye.
Oh, we're about to
Oh,
get into the flying. About to get into the flying.
want to stop there? There was so many, and again, we're reading
So
this, and like Ezekiel was saying, there's so much examples. The gear eagle, and then there's the regular eagle. It's just like, just so you don't get it confused.
just in case you try to get technical with us, right?
Super technical. Oh man.
Yeah, no, it's not left again. It's not left anything open. It's not left anything unclear. It's like just in case you want to know this, that. It's like you just can't, and you just have to know. And it's like when these things are there, it's for us to read and take this manual because we're supposed to know the Bible is a manual to life. I heard Ezekiel say basic instructions before leaving Earth, right? And so if these are your basic instructions before leaving Earth, we have to adhere to these things. And so many people and then it's funny as well because people like to look at families, right? Families of different animals, and this is just like blown all of that out the water. All of that out the water. I'm gonna tell you every single thing, and then make descriptions. So even if I haven't listed it, you just have to use your eyes and look at it, and you discern whether you should eat it or not. It's powerful stuff, man. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff.
even to that
Um,
to that point, man, because like we're looking at this and we looked at three domains take that in 3 domains and multiple examples of each domain. We looked at the waters, we saw earth, now we're in the heavens, we're in the sky. And so it goes to show how significant and important this is. The fact that a whole chapter was dedicated towards you guys need to know what this is.
100%.
It's the third book of this it's the third book within all these books. Matter of fact, it actually talks about it in the first book. We'll touch on that in a little bit later on in the lesson. If you read the story of Noah, all of these animals, all of the unclean ones who go into the ark. We'll go there. We'll go there. But to that point, there's bare detail through all domains. I gave you the examples, and we're gonna spend a whole chapter and talk about this. And then people have the audacity. Audacity is the word that's been coming up lately in my life lately. But people have the nerve, the audacity to discredit all of these things with one verse. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%, man. And not only is it interesting, but you also have it in 5-star restaurants, Michelin star, where it's supposed to be the best of the best food. They've got all these things that we've probably just listed, and you probably find rarely any clean foods. But let's keep going.
All right, where are we? Verse 20?
21, we're at.
21. Yet these, now we're into the clean. Yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all fours, which have legs upon their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. Even these are them ye may eat. The locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean unto the even.
Look at that. Sorry, before we move on. Whosoever toucheth the carcass of any of these unclean animals shall be unclean. That's like not only consuming it, but touching it makes you unclean. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people, we need to really take these things into consideration. Like, forget consumption. Like, consumption is a no. But like I want you to stay away from this thing so much that, in fact, even if you touch it, you're unclean.
It says a lot. Definitely says a lot. Like, there's huge emphasis there. Huge emphasis there. And then not only that, after its kind, also gets my mind as well. Because people, again, humans are interesting. They'll do the most to try to justify anything.
Yeah.
You know.
But it didn't list this one. Yeah. But it didn't list that one.
Yeah, exactly. But it says after its kind, anything that acts like it. So you look at a species, but then if you look at the classification or order of animals, you get the species, you got the genus, you got the family, you got the order, the class, etc. It covers everything, man. If it's similar and it lacks the characteristics, then don't partake.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Right, we ready to move on?
Yeah. What are we, verse 26?
25.
And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the even. The carcass of every beast which divideth the hoof and is not clove-footed, nor cheweth the cud, are unclean unto you. Everyone that touches them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all 4, those are unclean unto you. Whosoever touches their carcass shall be unclean unto the even. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean unto the even. They are unclean unto you. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things.
Sorry. Can I before you just read those last things, because that's about to take us into creeping things.
Yeah.
I want to just stress that point again. I not only don't want you to eat it, I not only don't want you to touch it, but if you do, you're not only unclean, but you need to go and wash your clothes. That's how much and again, all I can do is boil it back to that word. How much it's an abomination. How much you should be reviled when you look at it. How much you should just feel sick inside It's not for us to touch, let alone consume. You know.
Mm.
But cool. We can touch the
Mm.
creeping
And it's
things.
a reiteration too. Like a reiteration of what was said in the beginning. Like just so
Exactly.
you, if just in case you started like at verse 5 or something, that those that bear, these are still the things that are unclean unto you. And oh man, just the unclean, just the fact of having something clean and unclean, it's, I think it's very specific to the children of Israel or God's chosen people. Because why would you even, if you didn't have that covenant, if you didn't have that relationship with God, why would it even matter to you whether you're clean or not clean? You know, in order for you to have that relationship with God, or even to build that relationship with God, you would have to be, you know, you would want to be clean. You know, if I was unclean and I didn't have that covenant, it wouldn't mean anything to me, right? If I didn't have that relationship with God. But it's so very specific, and it's talking to a particular people, and it's just kind of setting the culture. I think the culture of the people, as far as, you know, even you can even see with black people and how we clean our chicken. You know, certain people say you're not supposed to clean your chicken and stuff like that. You know, that's like a cultural thing that's just like been passed down, and is something that we always continue to do. And it's so interesting, and how it originates from this,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No. 100%. 100%. Um. All right. Cool. Let's finish this, and then we can go into, because Ezekiel wanted to get into Noah. So let's
Yes,
let's
he did.
let's
What are
finish
we?
this.
Verse
Creeping things. 29.
29.
Yeah.
These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel and the mouse and the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret and the chameleon
Yep.
and the lizard and the snail and the mole. These are unclean unto you among all that creep. Whosoever doth touch them when they be dead shall be unclean until the even.
Yeah. Clear as day. Nothing left open. Nothing left open to interpretation at all.
Wait,
Um.
where did we stop at?
Right. Verse 31.
Okay, that was the last verse, right?
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
last verse. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we've touched now the law, guys, right? So for those that still stayed on, we've got the banner going down along the bottom where the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. There's a contact number. You want to talk to us about this more in detail, there's a link in the bio. We'll be happy to have these discussions with you night and day, honestly. Um, but we've covered the law now, right? That's the law set in stone. Bam, right? This is what was given to the children of Israel. And I'm going to add, and all those that want to serve the true creator, him who created the heavens and the earth in spirit and in truth, then this is the law that had been given to them, right? So with that being said, let's pin that in our minds to probably like this corner of the screen or something, so that we remember it, right? And now we're going to move into or we can reference Genesis, because I know Ezekiel wanted to talk about Genesis, right?
Yeah, even to that point, because we're talking about the law, we're talking about the foundation, the boundaries of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and you know how he thinks, how he, his brand, how he moves, his standard, and what it means to roll with him, and the expectation that he has for his children here on earth, and the seen throughout the whole entire scriptures. You have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. You can pick it up easily. But a perfect example is Genesis. Even before the laws, even before the Levitical laws, before the Levitical laws. Let's take a look what happened hundreds, thousands of years ago in the times even before the flood. I believe Genesis 6. If you guys want to go to Genesis 6,
Yeah.
um,
So while Chris is getting Genesis 6 up, to your point, so these laws came in Leviticus, but we were already living on the earth. And so some or one must have the question, well, what were we doing before? What were we doing before this instruction came? How were the children of Israel, how were men of God living in the earth, right? So Genesis 6 is where we're going to go to. We ready, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Zeke, you want to?
yeah, I'll take it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh wherein is the breath of life from under the heavens, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives, with thee. So just so everyone's clear, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is talking to Noah, and he's letting him know what's going to happen, and also branching over a covenant of peace that his children and his children's wives will all be good. Verse 19, and every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort, shall thou bring into the ark to keep them alive. With thee they shall be male and female, because you want to propagate, the species, making sure they can continue to live on and populate the earth again when the flood is over. But watch this. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, two of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him, so did he. Now watch this. So he brought two, male and female, for the sake of populating the earth after its kind. Now here's the next part, comes in chapter 7, which no one looks at for some reason. I don't know why, but most people don't look at, because you gotta ask yourself, what's Noah gonna eat on the ark, right? If he eats one of those other animals, bam, he can't. That animal can't propagate, can't spread his genes, it can't populate the earth again. So how is he gonna go about this problem? And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast, let me say it again, of every clean beast, thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean, by two, the male and his female. This is chapter 7, verse 2. Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. No more has to be said. So with unclean animals, it was two, male and the female. So the swine and the pork, or the pigs, it was a male and a female. The turkey was a male and the female. What else people like to eat? The horse, male and the female. The dogs and the cats, male and the female. Anything that's not an abomination, that is an abomination unto the Lord, was brought in twos. And those that were not an abomination unto the Lord, those that were clean, like your sheeps, your deers, your cows, lambs, etc., those were brought in sevens. So Noah and his family could eat food. So they had lamb chops, they had steaks, ribeye, venison.
So it's clear, right? To help set the picture for those that are more visual, right? You've got the ark, right? The ark is God saying, "I'm gonna flood this place, and everything on this earth is going to die," right? But you, Noah, have I found you've found favor in my sight, right? So Noah, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's the instructions to build this ark. I want you to go on the ark. I want you to bring your wife on the ark. I know you have 3 sons. Okay, they're with you. Bring them on the ark. Oh, they have wives. Yep. Bring the wives on the ark too. So people wise, we've got body count of 8 people on this ark. Yeah. And as Ezekiel, as Minister Ezekiel has read to you guys, he then gave him the instruction of every animal that is unclean, 2 by 2, and every animal that is clean, 7 by 7. And I think sometimes what even people miss, right, is let me put it back on the screen. It says, 2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark. To what? To keep them alive. That was it. Don't eat them, just to keep them alive, right? So they can keep going and they can live so that they can continue to carry out the role that's required of them. The pigs need to come back and clean the earth. Whatever job the animals have to do, they have to come back and do it so that the ecosystem, as Minister Ezekiel, the word that he used, the ecosystem can continue to run itself, right? And that's what sometimes people forget. But then again, when it goes into the next chapter, in chapter 7, it says, of every clean beast thou shalt take thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean, two of the male and the female, of the fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to what? To keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. To
Mm.
keep seed alive, as Minister Ezekiel was saying, 7 by 7 of the ones you can eat, because you guys are gonna be on here for a while. While I need to flood this place, while I flood this place to kill everything, you guys are gonna be on here. There's 8 of you. You guys need to live. Right? You're not gonna be on land anymore. So I'm gonna put 7 by 7 on this ark with you so that you can kill and eat. But the ones that are 2, I'm only gonna put male and female just so that they can reproduce. But the other ones, just you can kill them and eat, but just make sure you leave a male and a female.
Mm.
Right? Don't get too happy on the cow, right? And then we got no more cows, right? Don't get too happy. Make sure that there's a male and a female, but of these ones you can eat, and of those you can't eat. And again, the funny thing that even, or not even the funny thing, the interesting thing that stands out is, where was the instruction beforehand to Noah? So that he even knew that it was so clear, like it was given to the children of Israel,
Mhm.
X, Y, Z, you cannot eat. When you look at it, the parted hoof and the chew of the cud, you cannot
Good
eat.
question.
Like it was given to us so clear. But to Noah, you will not find that it was given as clear an instruction like that. But he knew the difference between clean and unclean. And these are the things that, and then it was spelled out for us. It's because man like to get too technical, man, as he realized mankind like to get too technical, and he knew that we would start making, okay, but this one wasn't mentioned and that one wasn't mentioned. In his days, it wasn't even given as clear an instruction, but as it came to pass, it was told so clear and it was laid out in law for those that want to serve the Creator and for those that want to remain holy, right?
Mm.
So we've laid out the law,
Mm-hmm.
we've laid out what happened in the beginning. Now, as said in the beginning, some people like to run with this narrative of the Bible is open to interpretation, right? And I said in the beginning, when we have narratives like this, it allows people to lean on their own understanding, and then what happens is you miss the truth and you start doing things that are wrong, right? And so one of those scriptures that people like to pull up is Matthew 15, right? And so, oh sorry, before we even go there, actually, you know what? Yeah, let's go to Matthew. So I'll get Matthew 15 up
Um,
on the
and real quick
right.
though, as you do that, because I like where you're going with this. Like,
Mhm.
there's a lot of smart people in the world, right? And you would think the evaluation of evidence would be considered when it comes to making claims. Originally, I know Chris likes to say this a lot, but we all have to say it. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Number one, I want to start with
Mhm.
that, because you and I, again, we're smart people. The very first thing, the first book shows that there's a separation between clean and unclean. The third book had a whole chapter dedicated towards clean and unclean. And the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Me personally, look, if I say I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I know this is the King of Kings, the Lord of all lords, the Alpha and the Omega, beginning and the end, and the fear of Him begins the beginning of wisdom, I'd be so considerate when it comes to the dietary laws. It's not up for debate, personally. I wouldn't try to justify or work my way out around it, especially if it's an abomination unto the Lord. At this point, you're walking on
Mhm.
fire. You're playing on the edge, on a sharp knife right now. You're about to get cut. That's your choice. Everyone has a choice at the end of the day. If you choose to play about that, that's on you. But remember the detail. This is the beginning of the book. There's 66 books. There's the first 3 books lays on the foundations of the laws. There's a whole chapter on it. The cleansing of the world dealt with the separation of clean and unclean. It's there. All right, yeah. That's what
Yeah,
I wanted to mention.
100%. But Minister Ezekiel, what will happen is someone will say to you, or someone will start getting keyboard happy and putting in the comments, oh, but Matthew 15, Minister Ezekiel, what happened to Matthew 15, Minister Chris, or Priest Jaden? What happened to Matthew 15, verse 10, where it says, not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth. This defileth a man. So, Minister Ezekiel, and so, Minister Chris, you're wrong, because what you put in your mouth doesn't defile you. It's what comes out. That's
You
what
know,
you're.
I think before we even get into the scripture, I think an important thing, I'm having this conversation because, well, I ain't gonna go into it, but I'm having this conversation all the time about the Christ, the New Testament and the Old Testament, right? I remember reading in James that there's no variableness in the Lord, right? There's no variableness in him, which variableness means that he doesn't change. He's consistent, right? That he's the same God that is in the Old Testament. He's the same God that's in the New Testament. And I think it's interesting when we're reading about, even in the story of Noah, how there's a consistency there, even prior to actual the law coming about, right? So there's a culture that's being, I think it's so beautiful how the God of Israel has structured everything, because it's a development of a culture. And if you have Noah and he had some knowledge of what is clean and unclean, right? And then you have Moses, and the Lord, he went and talked to Moses, and Moses went and talked to the prophets, right? The prophets, and then you had the anointed afterwards, and then you had the Christ who came. Like, what do you think the Christ would tell his apostles? Like, would he change? Like, would he tell him, you're a Christian now? Would he tell him that everything is in vain? Like, I was having this conversation with somebody before. I was like, does the Lord make mistakes? Does the Lord does he do anything in vain? Like, what would be the purpose of wasting all of that time establishing a culture to then throw it all away in this moment, right?
Mhm.
The culture of, or I don't say the culture, but what's a common practice of people who don't read the Bible is they take a verse and they take it out of context, similar to Matthew 15, which we could get into, but there's a consistency that is throughout the Bible. There's no inconsistencies
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
or contradictions. So when you read something like this and you take that to want to use it for your own benefit or to justify something that you want to do. In Isaiah it says, woe unto him that says that is good is evil and evil is good. You
Mhm.
understand? So it's like people like that, they self-identify themselves by doing stuff like that. But if you really just sit and you actually read your Bible,
Mhm.
it's clear as day. You understand?
Let's do
Like
that.
any book, you don't just take a
But
scripture.
one will.
If I was going into a movie theater, I'm not going to go into the movie theater 30 minutes or an hour into the movie, sit down and expect to get any context of what is going on in the movie. No, you
Mhm.
got to sit in from the beginning to the end so you can get context about, okay, what is really going on about the plot.
I'm with
So
you.
I think
I'm
that's an
with
important thing to establish before we even, speak about something like
you.
Matthew 15, because
Yeah.
people will take that, and if they have no understanding or any context about prior to that, they'll take that and use that to their own to justify what they want to do. Because people do what they want to do anyway.
It's
You
true.
understand? If I could find a verse to justify that, man, that's even better.
Yeah.
So
And that's what will happen, and that's what does happen in today's society. So
right.
someone will say to you, yes, Minister Chris, love what you're saying. However, yes, Noah, and then Moses, to the children of Israel, to the prophets, to every man of God that came. But when we get to the New Testament, Minister Chris,
Jesus.
his words were the words of Jesus the Christ were, it is not that which goeth into the mouth that defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth. This is what defileth a man. And then his disciples came and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard these sayings? So this they'll say this came from Jesus the Christ. They'll say, look, it's right there in red. It's right there in red, guys. This is what they will say. But to your point, and the key is we don't isolate verses, right? We don't just look at what was said and look at that in isolation and take that and run with it, right? We're Israelites, and Israelites, we as Israelites, we have a deeper understanding of the Bible. This is our family. This is the laws were given to us. So we understand them, right? The commandments, the statutes were given to us. When we read these scriptures, this is our family that we're talking about. So we have a deeper understanding of these things. And that's why it's not open to interpretation. This is a book about our family and laws and instructions that were given to us. And as you said, we don't look at things in isolation. So we implore that person to go back to verse 1. And when you go all the way back to verse 1, we start to gain the picture. We start to understand what was happening at the time, right? So let's read. It says, "Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." Context, beautiful. That right there is what enables us to go back to verse 10 and to say to someone, just chill out a second. We're still going by these laws because there's context. There's the reason why he said what he said. The scribes and the Pharisees, you've got the Christ walking amongst us, and the scribes and the Pharisees, they despised this guy. Despised this guy. They wanted to find any little thing, any nitpick that they could find to show that he is not the guy that we should be following, that he is not the Christ. He's not who he says he is, and he doesn't know and he doesn't do what we're meant to do. Because why have you not? So at the time, the context is, at the time, there was a tradition of the elders that before you eat bread, you had to wash your hands, right? And so they waited and they watched from afar. They sat back and they waited and they watched from afar, and said they waited for him to see. And because he did it without, let's read. "Why do thy disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. But he answered and said unto them, Why do you also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?"
Hold on there, because wait, real quick, James. I like where you're going with this.
Right.
And one thing I want to quickly mention here is all of you that start in the New Testament, you wouldn't know about this unless you read the Old Testament. That's the first thing.
Exactly.
Because again, there's a whole bunch of smart people here, and in the New Testament, we're dealing with the traditions of the elders and the commandments of God. And Jesus comes in with all authority and saying that you guys transgress the commandment of God, which is like layers. You have, there's many laws in the Bible. There are laws, there are statutes, and there are commandments, and there's tons of them. But the statutes, the law, statutes, and commandments, those, especially the statutes that pertain to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are top tier. These are the ones, no matter what generation you're a part of, they can't be overlooked or misused or circumvented. And you start, if you actually read the story and follow the trajectory of it, you will learn about how the people of the book have done that among their generations, how they circumvented the laws, how they became hypocrites, especially the Pharisees, who are supposed to be the top people that know the laws the best. Kind of like people out here today that feel like they know the Bible back and front, but they only read the New Testament, you know? It's crazy. It's crazy how things repeat. And some of them not even Israelites, which is the crazy part. So like, you can be off and then you can be way off, you know? So I just wanted to quickly touch in with that.
No, 100%.
The New Testament.
That's great adding to it. And so, to continue with the story, he answered and said to them, when they said to him, "Well, you eating bread without washing your hands, that's a tradition that we've been doing. What's going on here?" He said, "Well, why do you transgress against the commandment of God by your tradition?" For God commanded, saying, "Honor thy father and thy mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But you say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. You hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. Not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man.
Boom.
To your point, he's calling them hypocrites. Like, you wanna talk about washing of hands before bread? You've taken the commandments of God and you've made them like nothing based on how you're living. But you want to come to me with washing hands before? Come on, come on. And so he's making a point here. He's making a point. And I'm going to bring it back on the screen just to finish the story.
Wait.
It says,
Before you finish it up, though, this
yeah,
guy's
go on. Because it's because of time. I'm just thinking because of time. But go on.
That's true. But I just want to quickly jump in there because a lot of people can't even touch or explain or even speak to that. Why would he be saying that you guys are hypocrites? It says your mouth by words. You draw near unto me, talking about, I'm a child of God. I'm doing this. I'm a child. God saves his toughest battles for his strongest soldiers. I'm sure you've heard all these things before. And those are those kinds of people that would draw near unto God. But your hearts are not there. Listen, where the heart is, the feet does not hesitate to go, and it's shown within your actions. And
100%.
that's the huge part about it. Do you keep the law, statutes, and commandments? Are you doing the Sabbaths and the new moons? All of these little things here and there that make up the virtue of an Israelite. Do you do those things? But back to you though. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
No. It's good. It's good context. 100%. So he says, not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees, they were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered and said, and this is key, and again, right, this is why we have to continue reading. Go back to get the context and continue reading. Don't just look at things in isolation. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. But then answered Peter and said unto him, or declare unto this parable. And Jesus said, are ye also yet without understanding? Again, that question should be thrown back to the people that want to use Matthew 15 verse 10 or verse 11 to justify eating pork or eating all the things that we said we can't eat. You should ask them, are ye also yet without understanding?
Real quick though.
Do not.
Real quick,
Go on,
just after your point, it says, declare unto us this parable. So the fact that you're using a parable, because it's verse 11, to justify your point is way out of context. It's a parable. So even the disciples themselves were asking, what do you mean by this? And they needed clarification. But for someone that has out of the woodworks, that didn't
even going back, sorry to cut you off. They realized and wanted to ask for the understanding of the parable, but they had the smarts. They had the smarts to realize that he's using a parable.
Yeah, that's it.
Which means that there's a deeper meaning to what he's saying.
Yeah.
But everyone else in the world is just taking it for gospel. Like, no, guy, are ye also yet without understanding? And that's key. That's key.
I never thought about
sorry to cut
you.
No.
That's a really good point. They had the smarts enough to even realize it was a parable. And the Pharisees are supposed to be like, again, the lawyers, the politicians, the high-ranking people of society. And they get stuck in the parable.
You really can't talk about the Christ unless you talk about the law. When the Christ said he came, he didn't come to destroy the law, but he came to fulfill it. But the question is, okay, now what's the law then?
Exactly. What's the law that he came to fulfill? But he says, do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly and is cast out into the drawer. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies. These are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man. So again, so clear. He could have said, if he finished up that by saying, but to eat unclean meats defileth not a man, you would totally have a leg to stand on by using this scripture to say that it justifies eating things that are not clean.
Mm.
But again, parable used. Then his disciples and wanted to know what the parable meant, and he finished up by saying, "The things that proceed out of the heart is what defile a man, but to eat with unwashed hands defileth not a man." It said nothing about the type of food that you're eating. You know, he's talking to Israel. Everybody there in that environment knows what we can and can't eat. It's not even a question. It's not even a thought. No one's thinking to pick up pork. No, there's no pork on anyone's fork. But there's none of that, right? He knows who he's talking to. So that the essence of the message was about the traditions and allowing them to understand you're doing all of these things wrong, but you're coming to me about unwashed hands. You know, you've got murderers, adulteries, false witnesses in your heart, but you're coming to me about unwashed hands. Come on, guys. What are we doing here?
Mm.
And so to Minister Christopher's point, he says in Matthew 5, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So as you said, you said, what was the word, the word with V that you used, Minister
For
Chris?
vain?
No, about the continuation. You said the continuation between the Old and the New Testament. There's a continuation. God hasn't changed. He stayed the
Oh,
same.
variableness.
Variableness, yeah. So he
Mhm.
stayed the same between the Old Testament and the New. We say the first and the second because it's a continuation. There's no change, and the Christ is saying that in Matthew 5 verse 17. I didn't come to destroy the law that Moses said. I didn't come to change anything that the prophets have said to you guys. I've come not to destroy, but I've come to fulfill. I've come to teach how to live by it, right? And then he goes on to say that till heaven and earth pass, not one jot nor tittle shall in no wise pass from the law. We in Leviticus read the law and look up. When we look up, we still see the heavens. We're
Right.
still on the earth, which means this is in full effect.
Yeah, right.
Full effect.
An everlasting covenant forever. I don't know when forever ended. I don't know when was forever. When was the last day of forever?
Exactly. Well, people like to put a timestamp on it, right? And forever
Yeah.
was 2012, then it was supposed to be 2016.
Mhm.
So
They like to use the Christ and like to overrule what happened in the Old Testament, but they forget that the Christ is like the right hand of God. They said that him and the Christ are one, they're one spirit, because he's the begotten son of the Lord. So it's one spirit. You understand? So
Yeah.
he's gonna do the duties of his father. So why would anything that he does contradict anything that the God of Israel would already put in place years ago? You know what I'm saying? Generations ago. It doesn't make any sense. And that goes against him being any type of variableness, any type of inconsistencies, him being consistent at any point. It's very important for us to understand that the Christ is moving in alignment with the God of Israel. He's not contradicting him. He's not taking away. If anything, he's restoring what is put in place.
Exactly. 100%. But now someone's gonna say, okay, Minister Ezekiel, you got me. All right, Minister Chris. All right, you gave me the context, and I understand that one now. But you don't understand that in Acts 10, he says, rise, Peter, kill and eat. And he says that you should not call anything common or unclean, right? So they will go to Acts 10, right? And I believe it's verse 13. So let me pull that up on the screen here. They're gonna say, Minister Christopher, Acts 10, verse 13 says, there came a voice to him saying, rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. They might give the minister Ezekiel or the minister Chris answer. No, I've never eaten anything that is unclean. That's what Peter said, right? But the voice said unto him, Minister Chris, it said, the voice spake unto him again a second time and said, what God hath cleansed, that call not thou common. Right? So that means if I say a prayer, if I get some pork on my fork, and before I eat it, I say a prayer,
Fork
or I
on my
might
fork.
get some oysters, or some prawns, or an octopus,
Mhm.
or maybe
All
that,
I would say is
or
you don't
true
read your Bible. That's all I'll say. You want me to paraphrase the story, or you guys want to paraphrase the story?
Oh, wait. They're gonna say, I'm gonna get this camel or this hare. I'll use the things that were mentioned, or this Gaia eagle, right? Or the normal eagle, or the swine. And as long as me and my family we hold hands with one another and we bless this food in the name of the Lord, you cannot say that I can't eat this, Minister Chris and Minister Ezekiel, because God have cleansed it.
Are you God?
How are you blessing anything?
Yeah, yeah.
What part are
No,
you
but
guys
no, they're gonna say
blessing?
no, Chris, no, Minister Chris. I read my Bible. I read my Bible, and I'm a devout man of God. And I believe that if I hold my hands with my family and bless this food in the name of Jesus the Christ, this will be clean.
I mean, let's get into the story. Let's get into the story, man.
Yeah, that belief
Let's
system.
get into what exactly that dream meant with Peter.
So, what do you want me to do? You want me to read that again, or you want me to go back?
Well, your context.
Well, there's context to that story because it starts with Cornelius, right? So,
Okay. I'm liking where you're going. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go to verse 1. Who wants to take this?
I'll take it. So there was a certain man, centuria called Cornelius. Wait, did I even say a man
Certain man in
in
Caesarea. Certain man in Caesarea.
Caesarea, right? Called Cornelius,
Mhm.
a centurion of the band called the Italian band. So he was
Mhm.
an Italian man, a centurion. He had a high stature, a high degree.
So was this a
Centurion,
was
a
this an
devout
Israelite
man.
man? Was this an Israelite man, Minister Chris?
Well, if he's a part of an Italian band, that means he had to have been from the Isle of the Gentiles, which was of the line of Japhet. So
Hey,
that
real
wouldn't
quick.
have been of that same lineage.
Okay, so just to drop in there real quick. It says centurion, cent. You think of a cent, 1 cent, it's 100. So he
Mhm.
Cornelius wasn't just any man. He was a captain of over 100 people. The centurion,
Mhm.
the band called the Italian band. So he's a top tier guy, top status. That's something that
Yeah.
most people look over. So this is not just any random bloke on the street. He
Mhm.
he he has a lot of notoriety. He
Yeah.
oversees 100
Okay.
men.
Okay, so you're painting
Mhm.
this picture for them. We've got a man that's an Italian man. He's not a bloodline Israelite, because he was of the Italian band, and a centurion at that too. So this man had to have been from the Isle of the Gentiles. Okay, that's the picture that you're painting right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, cool.
All right. So, verse 2, he was a devout man and one that feared God with all of his house, which gave many alms to the people, and prayed to God always.
Okay.
Verse 3,
Can I jump in
he's,
there, Minister
yeah, go
Chris?
ahead.
Jamal from down the street, that's never heard of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, believes that he prays to God. So is this centurion praying to the same God as Jamal down the street, or as someone that just believes there's a higher power, or is it the same person that the witch called upon when she raised up gods from the ground when she was bringing up Samuel for Saul? Is this the same? Is this the same?
Well, if we
The
were
same?
if we were reading any other book, then we could argue that. But considering we're reading the the King James version of the Bible, there's only one people that's being spoken about in this book. There's only one God that's being spoken about in this book. Whenever they say "I fear God" or the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, there's only talking about one. There's only one God that's there. For the Lord our God is one. You understand? So it's one God that we're talking about. So this devout man, one who feared God, the same God that is the God of the children of Israel, he feared God with all of his house. And he also gave alms to the people and prayed to God always. So he
Yeah,
even had a good rapport with the people as well.
yeah. And can I just jump in there as well and say
Go
that
ahead.
as well? How we also identify that is when that woman did raise up the gods, it was small g. we've got a capital G here. And anytime any other gods, like, you know, when we read the commandments, thou shalt serve no other or have no other god before me, it's a small G used, because when we're talking about he who created the heavens and the earth, we put some respect on his name to give him a capital G.
Mm.
And them small gods, them small G gods, they get the lesser than, because they didn't create the heavens and the earth and establish the foundations, you know.
Factory. All right, verse 3.
That one factory.
Yeah. Verse 3. And he saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of God coming in to him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. Now, should I read one more verse? And when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called two of his household servants, and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. I think an important part before I even continue is that the angel didn't come to him and tell him, listen, Cornelius, I see what you're doing. Listen, God sees what you're doing, and he appreciates it. Now, this is what you got to do. Here's the laws, here's the statutes, here's the commandments. You know what I'm saying? This is what you got to do. He didn't say that. He said, look, in order for you to understand what you need to do, if you really want to be in alignment with God, there's a man that he's going to teach you. He's going to be able to take you onto that path to God. And his name is Peter, right? And he is a child of the chosen children that God has chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's not coming even directly to him, but even if you want the salvation to come to you, it has to be through the children of God.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first documented time an angel of God has come onto one of another nation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, key point, he didn't just say, okay, yeah, cool, here's what you do. It's like, okay, although I'm here, you need to go and speak to those that I've put in the earth to bear my name's sake, the children of Israel.
Yeah.
No, it's an excellent point. Excellent point.
Verse 8.
Verse 8. And when he had declared all these things unto them, he sent them to Joppa. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh into the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry, so he was fasting, and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance and saw heaven open up, and a certain vessel descending upon him. And it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air, so every clean and unclean. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. And Peter said, No, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Hold on. Let's
And the
stop
voice
there. Wait. Hold on. So think about this, right? Think about it. He's sleeping.
Yeah.
The sheet comes down, is looking nice and everything, 4 corners knitted up, and behold, he had a platter. It was a seafood boil platter from Captain Boyle. There was crabs, there were lobsters, there was ducktail, there was pelicans, there was the gear eagle, the little owl, the big owl, all the owls and his entourage. All of it was right there, and he hears the voice, but he hears a voice, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. And Peter's first reaction was, No, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. That's the first thing he did. Keep in mind, at this point, we're in the book of Acts, right? Jesus the Christ has passed away. Jesus the Christ was here. He chose his disciples. He taught them everything they needed to know before his departure. We're in the New Testament. So this is years away from David. This is years away from Moses. Apostles are here on their own. Jesus the Christ has gone away. This is it. They had to show up without the help of Jesus the Christ being there right now. And this is Peter's response. You think about that for a second, man. Let that marinate.
But what I would like to let marinate, or what someone might like to let marinate, is that these beasts of the earth, the wild beasts, the creeping things, came down, and a voice of God said to him, "Rise and eat, guys." So why are you telling James down the street, or Jamal was the name I used, that he can't eat pork?
Well, this is a dream that Peter is having. So it's like
Okay.
whenever I have a dream, or when anybody has a dream, and I'm flying in the dream, do I wake up and try to fly in real life? You know? So it's normally, or people of the diaspora, I should say, whenever you have a dream, normally there's like an interpretation to the dream. Normally the dream there's a meaning behind the dream. It's not to take it literally, right? But there's something to be taken away. So in this particular instance with Peter in this dream, the question is, okay, what exactly is the dream? I mean, we haven't finished the dream. So far, we see a platter of all common and unclean things coming down, and a voice telling Peter to kill and to eat. And then Peter's response was to saying, I've never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
You standing on
Okay, Minister Chris.
business.
So you're saying that the dream is not finished yet, yeah?
The dream is not finished.
Okay, all right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Let's keep going. Where's 15?
Yeah.
Peter said, no, unclean. And the voice spake unto him again, a second time, what God has cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done thrice, so 3 times, and the vessel was received up again into heaven, went back up. Now, while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, so even he's pondering, like, what does this even mean? Behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house, and
Wait, hold on,
stood
hold on,
before the
hold on.
gate.
Real quick, before you go far, I just want to just hold in real quick. Peter, again, a disciple of Jesus the Christ, who's had years of experience of learning.
Apostle.
Sorry, the apostle of Jesus the Christ, who had years of experience of learning and teaching, and all these things, had a dream. This was the dream. You know, the sheep fell, the food was there. After the dream was done, he asked himself, what does this mean? But then the world just quotes one thing and says, this is what it means. We can now eat pork.
Yeah.
This is the first thing.
That's true. You've got a very learned man thinking, man, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? But an average man is just like, yep, I know what it means.
Where's the respect at, man? Like he did all that studying
No
for what?
respect.
You know what I'm saying? He told Jesus Christ for all those years, 3 years. He studied, he slept, he ate, he's writing like, Lord, let me wash your feet. Me too. Like you know, like I want to do it back. Like you know, he was there on the same house. But then you know, Jamal down the street just opens the book. He sees what verse was that? Was that verse 15? He sees verse 15. Oh, well, God calls common or cleanses, whatever. Yeah, that means we can eat pork.
And he told him to eat it 3 times.
That's 3 times. Peter saw it 3 times. He didn't know what happened, but Jamal read it once, and now he knows. Crazy.
And so, when I'm 18, right?
18.
And called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there. While Peter thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek thee. Arise, therefore, go ye down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them.
Mm-hmm.
Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius, and said, Behold, I am he whom ye seek. What is the cause wherefore ye are come? And they said, Cornelius the centurion, a just man, or they just bigging him up, and the one that feareth God, and of good rapport amongst all the nations of the Jews, was warned from God by an holy angel to send for thee unto his house, and to hear words of thee. Then came he them and lodged them. And on the morrow, Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him. And the morrow after, they entered into Circia, and Cornelius waited for them, and had called together his kinsmen and near friends, And as Peter was come in, Cornelius met him and fell down to his feet and worshipped him. But Peter Peter took him up, saying, "Stand up. I myself also am a man."
I just wanted to stop there for a
Yeah,
second as
it's
well.
stopping for you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know we're getting out of time, but I think what's important. I think what's important also too is to acknowledge the culture between Israel and the Gentiles, or any other nation rather, and just mingling in between them. It was
Oh, wait, wait,
not
wait.
okay.
We're
Go
gonna
ahead.
read
Go ahead.
that.
Go ahead.
We're gonna
Yeah.
read that. We're gonna read that. I was just gonna add some. I was just gonna add some color to the picture for those.
Okay. Bet.
So Peter's sleeping. He gets this. He gets this. He falls in a trance. He has this dream. Let's say, and he gets told, "Rise, Peter, kill and eat," 3 times. Then 3 men appear, right? And he's thinking, "Call not thou, call not thou common or unclean. Like, I've never eaten anything that's not that's unclean. Like, what's going on?" 3 times that happens. 3 men appear, and then he's told, go with them, doubting nothing. Okay, all right, cool. He goes with them now. He gets there, and then we land here. And that the reason I just jumped in there was because what you was about to say is what we're going to read. So we still got to give them the context, but we can get through
No,
this.
I was looking at the time. I thought you was
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to. Okay.
Real,
Bet. Bet.
real
all
quick
right,
though.
cool.
Real quick,
Go ahead.
I want to hop in here real quick because when you see Cornelius's action, he falls down and he worships. He says, "Oh my gosh, Lord!" Like he was very humble and meek. And Peter's
Mhm.
response was, "Wait, hey, listen, I'm just a man myself," and he lifted him back up. Today, though, you look into the world. You're here in 2025, then you have someone like who holds the title of Pope, and their title is the Vicar of Christ, where not only are they a man, but they're trying to play and act as God. You have people that are apostles, or they call themselves apostles, or they're trying to always usurp and take power for themselves and justify their needs. I swear, like the other day, I just saw a video on Instagram about some pastor guy who had a Bentley inside his church.
I
You
sent,
saw
I
that
sent
video?
that to you, right?
Oh, I see that.
And well, what happened? I think he said the Lord wanted me to have this car. Well, no, the Lord wanted us to have this car. And someone yells, "Yo, can we ride it?" He's like, "No, you guys don't want this burden." Like it's crazy. It's really crazy how people position themselves for power and control, and to put themselves in positions of God. They go from priest to pastor to reverend, and only God can be reverend according to Psalms 111. But yeah,
Mhm.
you can see the
But yeah,
parallels.
Okay.
yeah, 100%, Minister Ezekiel.
So verse 27. And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together. And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is unlawful. Oh, yeah, okay. So it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of any of another nation. But God hath showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
There you go.
Boom,
There you
mic
go.
drop.
Just like
There you go. So there's the interpretation of the dream, right? You have a man who culturally is because Israel in definition to be holy, right? And the God of Israel has chosen a people to be holy, is you're taking a people and you're separating them. To be holy and to sanctify is to separate. So you have a people that is separated from all the other nations of the earth, and culturally we don't not really supposed to intermingle. Even when they talk about us having strange wives, it's not something that we necessarily it's frowned upon when you do something like that. Now you have Peter, and he has a dream about common and unclean things, and it's not a literal dream,
Mhm.
but it's a representation of and it's funny how you guys even pointed out about it happened 3 times, and then the 3 men came. So it's just like, okay, so there's a correlation between the dream and these men that is here that normally is like common or unclean. We normally don't intermingle, but
it's
as the dream
unlawful.
said, right, as the dream said, what God has sanctified. What did it say? What
But
God has
God has
made.
showed me that I should not call any man common
Yes,
or unclean.
are unclean. And then there you have it. There's the here we're at the precipice of the graft of other nations being grafted, or I should specifically talk about the Gentile being grafted
Yeah.
into the covenant.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. No, 100%. And you know what happens is sometimes we take these things and, like I said, we look at it in isolation, and that would be wrong. For if someone quoted me right now, me saying, "Hey, Minister Ezekiel, hey, you know, there's plenty of fish in the sea," and someone captioned that. Priest Jaden says there's plenty of fish in the sea. They put that in a book. They put it in and they hide it in the ground. Someone digs it up 1,000 years later and said, look, Priest Jaden said there's plenty of fish in the sea. So that means that I can eat any single fish in the sea because there's plenty of fish in the sea. But you and I know, if I'm talking in today's day and age, there's plenty of fish in the sea means, you know, you can go. It doesn't matter if this wife is not the one. There will be others, right? It doesn't mean that you just take it literally. You know what we're talking about. But
Right.
at that time, it was unheard of that a man that is a Jew even walk next to, let alone go into the house, let alone keep company of a Gentile, because they were known as an unclean people, a people that had no God. But he says, you know, in his dream, he was told, "Rise, Peter, kill and eat. Not so, Lord. What God hath cleansed, call not thou common or unclean." And then when he's explaining the story to these men, he's saying, God hath shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. He didn't say, yeah, there was loads of things and you know, he told me that I could eat anything. He understood what was being said. He had the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the understanding, an understanding heart to know what was trying to be explained to him. This is going to happen, and go with them doubting nothing, because usually if that hadn't have taken place, there's no way those three men could have came and got him to come with them, because he would have said,
No.
not a chance ever, right? And it was said in that way, but when he interpreted it back, it was, God have showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean, not any food, not any beast of the field or anything that came down on the net. He said any man, because they were known as an unclean people, right?
Mm.
And so that's super important for us to know when we're navigating and when we're talking, because again, this is a storybook about our family. We're the children of Israel, we're Israelites. And so this is a story about our family. And so we need to understand these stories and take it and not just, as said, you know, the world takes the Bible as open to interpretation, but you and I, you know, through the teachings of our elder Shadrach and his Israelite nation, we've been made privy to the stories of our forefathers. It says it's been given to you to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been. And so we've got a true blessing. And so there's a scripture that I want to read to add to this, right? Because we have these things and we have the law. So to recap, we've given you guys the law. We've given you guys what people like to say to try and counteract the law. We've also given you what the Christ has said, as think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. I've not come to destroy, but to fulfill. And so we've got all of these things placed out before us. And so a scripture I want to read right now, it's just two verses real quick, and it's Leviticus 20, verse 25 to 26. It says, "Ye shall therefore put difference between clean beasts and unclean, and between unclean fowls and clean. And ye shall not make your souls abominable by beast, or by fowl, or by any manner of living thing that creepeth on the ground, which I have separated from you as unclean. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine." That is so powerful. That's so powerful. The separation is made. I've severed you from other people. So again, Jamal down the street, if he wants to put pork on his fork, Jamal down the street, go ahead. But Minister Ezekiel, Minister Chris, anyone that has been given the law, statutes, and commandments cannot eat those things, because we have been separated from other people. And look at what is being explained. Ye shall not make your souls abominable. So by eating these things, not only are they an abomination to you, but you are making your soul abominable by by partaking or consuming these foods. That's so powerful. That is so powerful, and I think that that's sometimes that's the things that we miss, you know. And he said, you know, if you're of me, I'm holy, so you're holy, you know. And this is again, we're in Leviticus, right? So this is Moses getting those instructions and giving it to the children of Israel. So the children of Israel, these are the things that the children of Israel have to follow. These are the things that the Israelites have to follow. Those that want to join onto that house and become a part of the house of God, which is another lesson in itself, right? But those that want to become a part of the house of God, this is the way that we have to live. And partaking in these things will even make your soul abominable.
Mm. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. And it's crazy that you chose that same scripture, because even if you go to Leviticus 11, I think I asked this before. We stopped at 31. If you go up to 43 to finish it up to 47, it says the exact same thing. That, you know, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says, "Holy and reverend is His name," you know, and we are holy unto Him when we do the things that we're supposed to be. He wants a holy people. He's very clear about that,
Mhm.
and you know, you're right about that. There's a separation. You're sanctified. You're consecrated. You're blessed. You are His glory. You can read Romans 9. You are His inheritance. Like, it's all throughout the scriptures, but only someone that
Yeah.
actually reads the book, takes the time to go through, you know, from the beginning and to the end, will understand and have that context. Even going back to the story of Acts, you know, Peter had to have the dream, see the person, and make the connection. Oh yeah, call the name, no man, no common or unclean. But again,
Yeah.
Jamal down the streets just reads, sees one part of the dream and starts making conclusions. You know, like, think about these things.
Yep.
Really think about these things. The person having the dream had to wait and actually see the experience, but everyone else sees the dream and they now know better. The audacity is insane. It really is. But you know, it all starts with you at the end of the day. You know how you treat yourself. Your body is your temple. I could talk about tabernacles. You lot won't know about tabernacles because you never read the beginning of the book. But if
Mhm.
you do, when you go to Leviticus, it talks about, you know, the
Yeah.
tabernacles. Your body's a tabernacle. And a tabernacle can be a body or it can be a place, a sanctuary. In the holy sanctuary, you can't, I mean, nothing can go inside the holy tabernacle. It has to be cared for, it has to be treated well, etc. If your body is also like a tabernacle, nothing can just enter into it. Because once it's compromised, once things goes inside of it that's not supposed to go inside of it, the holiness is ejected. You get what I'm saying? So if I'm out here having, you know, seafood crab boil and eating a pork sandwich and having pepperoni pizza, what is going on with me spiritually is a question you have to answer yourself. Can you say that you have
Mhm.
the Spirit of God with you? Are you being moved by a Holy Spirit? Even though a Holy Spirit requires a vessel that has to be clean, you know, you need a clean tabernacle. So there's a selected process. Not like everything can just enter inside of you, especially if you're going to carry a spirit by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Um, you can't eat those things, or else you're literally evicting that spirit away from you. So you start behaving and do all sorts of manner of things. You couldn't read and digest doctrine. The
Yeah.
It's a spiritual matter, not a physical matter. Remember that.
Yeah. Well, like you said as well, and you mentioned about your vessels and keeping it clean and your body being a tabernacle, right? And it even said that when we read it in Leviticus, it says that if even if you touch it,
Mm.
you're
Sure.
unclean. And then you have to go and wash your clothes too. Like you'd be clean again at even. So it's not even just consuming it, but it's everything else around it as well. Everything was made for a purpose. So I'm assuming those was your closing words, Minister Ezekiel. Minister Chris, you wanna give the people some gems.
My closing words. I ain't gonna say too much. All I can say. I remember Ezekiel. He gave a lesson and he talked about the Bible and he said the Bible is the first legal document, right? It's a legal document. And you look in the scriptures, and it's funny. Anybody who moves contrary to what the scripture says, they only have like one piece of evidence, probably two. You know what I'm saying? That they could stand on. But there's a overwhelming amount of evidence that supports following the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, keeping yourself clean. There's a separation between clean and unclean. Um, understanding the difference between the Christ and the God of Israel, and who the Christ even came for, and the purpose of the prophets, and what even the whole scripture is talking about, from even Moses up into the prophets. What was the purpose of them? What was the purpose of what they even did? They wanted to come and gather the children of Israel and to bring them back into alignment with the one and true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So there's so much evidence to support that. And if I was to go into a court of law with all that evidence, and you was to come with, yeah, but he just, but look, you know what I'm saying? Like, they would take that court, you know what I'm saying? They'll take it out of the courtroom and be like, man, you don't have enough evidence, man. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence that supports this, and you're coming to me with this one piece of evidence. Yeah, but he wasn't a. It doesn't fly like that. It doesn't fly like that. So I think it's very clear as day. Anytime anybody uses any scripture out of context, it's the same thing for me, man. It's just, you don't read your Bible. And it's very simple. You can just start from the beginning. You can just sit down and start from the beginning, and you can find out what it actually is trying to say.
Yeah,
That's what I got.
100%. And my closing words will be: look, guys, we've laid out to you guys the law. We've also given you guys rebuttal scriptures that people may use. The Bible is not open to interpretation. It's not. It's clear. There's nothing left. There's nothing left that can be slightly confusing or ambiguous in any way. And we've got a way to live by. We gave you the rebuttal scriptures. We gave you what, God saying that you're supposed to be separate. You're supposed to be holy. We've told you that there's a continuation between the old and the new. And when the Christ came, because everyone likes to only use the New Testament, when the Christ came, he said, I didn't come to destroy everything that came before me. I came to fulfill it. And so with that being said, we've laid out this before you. Let there be no more confused minds. Let there be no more ambiguity about what you can and you can't eat. Should you decide to walk on the path of righteousness and follow after he whom created the heavens and the earth, then there is a way to live by. And we have across the bottom of the screen, there's going to be some contact info going across. We're going to have a link in the bio for you guys to get in contact with us, and we'll be happy to go into not just this subject matter, but any that pertains to the Bible. For we have been told to go out and teach all nations. And so that is what we're doing. So you're in the right place. If you've landed on this video, you're with the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. And we hope that you have enjoyed tonight's lesson. And with that, we hope to see you on the next video. And peace.
Peace.
Peace.